Okay, here we are. We're already in week 5. We're officially halfway through the class. Congratulations. You've made it 50% of the way. I will be looking at your theory application papers as well as the other assignments from week 4 over the next several days. Give me till Friday this week to get those theory application papers done. With those larger assignments, I like to take a little more time with them, but be checking for grades throughout the week, and I promise to have those all done and into you by Friday. If you have any questions about any of your grades thus far, please don't hesitate to send me an email and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So let's go ahead and jump into week 5 here. We're talking about art as a message. So you're going to be reading chapter 11, so just one chapter of reading this week in the visual culture text, and this is a chapter on new media. And I've given you things to think about here. There's this idea that new media is this new method of delivering the same information. And do we agree with that? And the text says that this isn't a revolution, but a rapid evolution. I don't know that I agree with that. I think that in the last 20 years, especially, we've seen an actual revolution in the way that information is delivered. And it's changed the way we interact in our communities. So just be considering whether or not you agree with what the text says here. It gives the example of Heartbreak Hotel is still Heartbreak Hotel, whether you're listening to it live or on a vinyl, on a CD, on an MP3, on the radio, that it's still the same information, it's just being delivered in different ways. So just consider all of this. And it's going to talk about audience reception and politics of the economy of the media, all this good stuff. It's going to talk about the World Wide Web and its important features. So it's an interesting chapter that we've got going on here and very relevant to what's going on today. So you have a discussion board on new media. And so what I want you to do is after you read the chapter in visual culture, I want you to watch both of these film clips. There's one about an artist named Ai Weiwei, and there's another about an artist named Hannah Hawk. Hannah Hawk was a photo montage, photo collage artist in the early 20th century, and Ai Weiwei is someone who uses new media to deliver his message in contemporary China and dealing with the laws that they have there. Really interesting guy. And so they're kind of a cool pair to juxtapose what they were doing. And so what I want you to do is consider how new media is different methods of delivering the same information. And why do you think this is? Consider how people have different learning styles and how this might be a factor. What new media do you find most effective? And if you're interested in figuring out what your learning style is, then you can go to a really interesting website. It's vark-learn.com, so V-A-R-K, and it goes over the different learning styles, and you can do the questionnaire, and it will tell you what your strengths are. Are you a visual, oral, read, write, kinesthetic, or are you a combination of all of these, which is considered a multimodal learner? So it's really kind of interesting and cool to do, and I think it'll help you as a student, especially knowing that how you best learn. So that's something interesting that you might want to consider with this question. So how different learning styles might be a factor to this delivering media in different ways. What new media do you find most effective? Number 2, I want you to make sure that you view these clips, and this one is especially about Hannah Hawk. So what are your thoughts on her style? Is it a style that you think is still effective today? Imagine someone using her style with today's media, with today's news stories and subject matter and cultural issues. And number 3, what are your thoughts on Ai Weiwei's incarceration? Do you agree with what he said in his TED Talk? So some interesting conversations that we can have this week. Make sure that you're participating with your peers. You might ask them, how is art sometimes a more powerful method than words to deliver a message? Remember, about 2 to 4 sentences in length for each of these questions. Be sure to ask questions and answer when asked. So that's your discussion board. And speaking of Hannah Hawk, we have our next create assignment, and you're going to be creating a collage inspired by her work. So this assignment is designed to give students a hands-on approach to learning research skills as well as exploring creative ways to present culturally valuable information. So what I want you to do is view this clip. It's the same one that's in the discussion board. And what you're going to do is also conduct your own research. So you might want to look into her style. What was she trying to do specifically with her style? What were elements that she often used? So make sure that you are researching what she does. This is where the research part comes in. You're not researching her biographical information, you're researching how she created her artwork, okay? If you need any help with this, if you're kind of just getting stuck, hey, ask me and I'll be able to point you in the right direction. So I want you to use cutouts from newspapers and magazines like Hawk did to create your own photo collage. So be sure to use elements found in Hawk's work. So she includes text a lot. I'm giving you a big hint there. Your collage should fit on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper and should take up the majority of the page. So don't give me 4 or 5 images right in the middle of the paper and then nothing else. So like Hawk, each collage should be making a statement about a contemporary social, cultural, or political issue. You might choose a topic such as bullying, consumerism, world hunger, the upcoming presidential election, Syria. There's so much fodder for this assignment for you to pick from. So this is done as a blog, and you're going to embed your collage image into the blog entry. So you need to scan or photograph your collage. If you don't have a scanner, you can photograph it. Just make sure you're photographing it very clearly. Do it from above. Make sure there's no shadows on it and that it's not blurry. So include a one-page. This is 12-point font, double-spaced write-up. So this is something you can just write in the text editor of your blog entry. You don't need to include any attachments here. And I want you to explore your topic that your collage illustrates. So consider why this issue is relevant to contemporary culture and how your collage illustrates this. So also consider how an image is a powerful means of sending a message to a broad audience. Don't forget this part. For some reason, students tend to get really into this part and then they completely forget to explore this idea of an image being a powerful means of sending a message to a broad audience. So I will just tell you, what I'm looking for the most when I grade this assignment is influence from Hawk's style. I don't expect you to be professional artists, but I expect to see you integrating the things that she does. So that means researching her style. I'll give you another hint. She tends to take images, piece them, and put them back together to create a new composition. So I want you to be taking images from different places and putting them together. Don't just stick a bunch of images next to each other. That's not what Hawk did, and that's not what created effective, compelling images. Okay, so if you're, starting it off and you're not sure if you're headed in the right direction, then, maybe send it to me. This is what I'm working towards. Do you think I'm, is this what you're expecting? And I'll be able to let you know. If you feel confident and comfortable using digital methods, if you are, feel like you're really good in Photoshop or Illustrator or some of these other programs, you are allowed to do your collage digitally, but only if you feel like you really excel in that area. Again, I don't want a bunch of images just sitting next to each other, okay? I want you to really be integrating these and creating a new composition that is, compelling and interesting to look at. Okay, so I want you to begin working on your film review this week, and I'll go over that in a little more detail in just a second. So we'll go and look at the film review prompt. But you also have your review quiz. So what you actually have due this week is your discussion board, so the new media discussion board, your Hannah Hawk inspired collage, and your review quiz. So we're actually not terribly heavy on writing this week, a little more of those creative assignments and the opinion-based assignments. So let's go ahead and go to week 6, which is when your film review is due. So I want you to start working on it now. So go ahead and jump in here and look at the prompt. You can view the rubric for it here. This is going to be a 6 to 8 page review, and you have 3 films to choose from. So what I recommend doing this week is picking a film and watching it and taking notes. If you can get that done this week, then you'll have a big jump start on actually writing the review next week. So you can choose from The Passion of the Christ, which is available on Netflix. I believe it's still on there. There's a documentary on Netflix called Food Inc. That is really interesting, very culturally relevant. And then you have Disney Pixar's Up. And if you have small children, you probably own this movie. So I've tried to pick films that are very easily accessible. If you need to rent them, they shouldn't be very expensive to rent online if you don't have Netflix. I will give you a heads up on Up. Don't think that, oh, I'm going to pick that. It's a cartoon. It's a kid's movie. It'll be easy. I will tell you that I grade this one the hardest because I really want you to dive into this concept of nostalgia and how it's present in the American psyche. So there's a lot of psychology that's going to go into this. I want you to research this idea of nostalgia. Don't just give me the dictionary definition of the term. So this one has a lot going on actually. So really choose this one wisely. If you decide that, I'm not trying to get you not to choose it. I just don't want you to choose it because you think it's going to be the easiest one to write about, because students tend to do that and then they kind of cop out on it and they don't give me some really good content there. So read through these prompts. Remember, you only have to pick one. You're not doing all three of these. And watch your film and take notes this week. So really be watching it with these ideas in mind. And then I'll go over this in more detail next week. So that's what we've got going on this week. Any questions, anything that you are unsure about grades, assignments, anything, please don't hesitate to ask. And have a great week.